What I'm learning is that as a man, like, my idea, I'm 35 now, and my idea of, what leadership looks like, when you're young or younger, and I'm just coming into this, I'm learning that, you have to lead a certain way for people to follow you. It's important that we learn how to lead. And I don't think it's enough emphasis being placed on, how to lead. A lot of people like, man, the man is the head of the household. Yeah, that's true. But how do you take on that role? How are you the man of the household? I don't think that ever gets focused on.
I know I agree with you because we had that conversation today because what was said today that it's mostly domineering, almost bullying. That's the example. That's what was that's basically what was shown. But
Yeah.
that's not it at all. I would say it needs to be top-notch servant. The leader is the one that serves. He's the humble man. He's the
Yeah.
respected man. He's the one that loves, and all those things will come back to him. That's how I see it, but I'm a woman. You have to, really tap into men and ask them what a true leader looks like because we already know this aggressiveness, this bullying, this talking loud or whatever it is, strong arming, being controlling, it's not getting it. It's not working anymore. So
Yeah.
what's going on? We have a different woman now. It's not the same meek woman that it was years ago. We have a different woman now that's working, making money, making decisions before she even gets married. So how does she turn all of that off to now be submissive to a leader? How is it done? The only way it can be done is that she has to trust him, to the end. She has to trust him. She has to know that he's not going anywhere. She has to know that he has her interest at heart. She has to know that
Yeah.
he's protecting her. She has to know that. So,
That's important though. I mean, what you're saying is key. I'm trust me, I'm learning that the hard way. You know.
mm, okay.
No, I'm saying because, what you think leadership is, because I grew up around a bunch of alpha males. So um
I
manly
still
men.
I still want an alpha male though, I want that man in control. I want that cockiness a little bit, but I want that man that also knows when it's time to be humble. I
Right.
want that man to know when I'm tired. I still want him to feel me on that level too, so that's being in tune. You know, I just, you that's a good question. I'm trying to figure that out too, what a good leader looks like in this day, in this modern day, because his role is well, the world is trying to alter his role.
Right.
And it doesn't need to be altered. It needs to be just walked out. So for me, I still say he's that servant, he's that alpha male.
Yeah.
He's in control. He's the confident one. He's the one that kicks down the doors. But when he comes home, you automatically give him that respect because he earned it everywhere else. There's no need to kick down a door at home because we believe what daddy says. Daddy is it, husband is it. And it's just an automatic respect because of how he carries himself. That should still be the case. He shouldn't have to come in walking hard, stomping his feet, making everybody, how sometimes people say, "Oh, when daddy come in, when some men come in, you almost feel like you're scared to move. You can't, you feel so like he's getting ready to do something. It's uncomfortable." That's not a leader for me. That's just not it. So
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, you're a breath of fresh air because these conversations are necessary because when you as a excuse me, as a young man, if you grow up without your father in the household, you kind of form your own ideas. You piece it together over time, like what a man looks like, what a man is, and all of these types of things. You're like, okay, I'll be a little bit of Bill Cosby, a little bit of Uncle Phil, with a little bit of Will Smith, with a little bit of, you know what I mean? Because you're trying to pull in so many different um, things that you don't have in the house with you. And
right.
if you don't have those conversations, so you grow up and you go into manhood, and I'm speaking my own. This is me
Mhm.
growing up. You go into manhood, you get engaged and stuff like that, and you think, okay, I'll be these different things, and it turns out that those are just fictional characters. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like
Yep.
nobody's having a conversation about, okay, when she frustrates you, how is it best to communicate this?
Mm.
or the difference between talking to men and talking to women as it relates to leadership, because you cannot lead every individual the same way.
No.
So, and like I said, I'm learning that the hard way because I grew up around a bunch of hard-nosed men, but you cannot bring that energy to women and then expect them to respect you in the household.
Yep.
If that makes any sense.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Yes, I just like you want a gentle place when you come home, I want my husband in some ways to be gentle to me also. So, you're exactly right. That doesn't work. It don't, and
But nobody's saying that though. Nobody's saying that this masculine, like, hey, do what I said, that image. Nobody's saying honestly that doesn't work. We're not hearing that in this space.
But do you think it's real though, that even though they're not saying because that may not be, let me say this way. I think that sometimes we have to use extremes and maybe the YouTube world in order to get people to understand. You know how sometimes when you give examples, it has to be extreme or otherwise people won't get it.
Hmm.
So when men say things like, shut up, B, they're
Mm.
not really telling their woman to shut up. They just want it to be just want her to be quiet. But if they just said be quiet, some women wouldn't hear that. Sometimes you have to get people's attention. And I think a lot of times in the YouTube spaces, it's a lot of talking points that are not livable
Not in
talking points.
reality.
It's not
Right.
real,
Right.
and I am a real person and I do intend to share my life with you and my journey from a real point of view. Um, so it may not sound the same, but it's a real thing. And you'll know that, I mean, you know it by your own experiences. You just said if your
It does not work.
fiance comes in the room, right? Is this gonna make it's gonna add fire to the flame? You also have to know who she is. But I still think it all can be dealt with just communication. Because if you allow her, if you're doing things the way you're supposed to, and you've already accepted your proposal, she respects you. And all it is trust and respect. For me, that's time. That's just putting in time of you continuing to be that man that you said you would be. Again, now we formed our relationship on godly principles. So I had somewhat of a blueprint. If you don't have a blueprint, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
That's going to be more conversations. There's going to be more expectations that have to be agreed upon or talked about. You have to say what your role is in order for me to hold you to that standard. If you're not telling me what your role is, then I can't respect you because I don't know what I'm supposed to be respecting. So that's why I always go with God. That's why it's godly principles for me. So it's clearly outlined what my husband is supposed to do for me. Provide protection. He's my leader. I look to him. Everything needs to fall on his shoulders. When something goes wrong, he got it. If something, he makes a decision, um, he got it. He tells me what to do as far as his business or our business together. If he wants to make me the face of the business, even though it's security, I'm the face of the business for many reasons. That is a very smart business move. I'm a black
Hmm.
woman.
Hmm.
Black woman. Who wouldn't invest in that?
Yep.
You know. So then you have stuff like even with the money part. Remember I explained to y'all the money part last night. My husband has the business. His business makes us money. I work for my husband. I pay the bills. He said, "Baby, pay the bills. Pay the bills." It's not even difficult for me, but you do have those other platforms and other people saying that men need to do everything, you know.
Right.
I don't believe in that. I don't think that's a real thing that can keep you forever. And I don't think it's a real thing anyway because who can do that?
Right.
I'm very imperfect. I mess up. I do wrong things. I might want to buy a dress that we didn't talk about. So who gonna, catch my back? It's got to be something. It just can't be perfect all the time. We can't always be, on 100 every single day. We
Those are
got
the
to.
extremes that you're talking about, though.
Yeah,
The man has to do it all and X, Y, and Z.
that's not
But
real.
you
How do
can
you
lean.
grow up with that though? How do you grow? If everything is perfect today, if you perfect, you haven't even gotten married yet. If you perfect right now, where y'all gonna be in 5 years?
Hmm.
Perfect plus plus plus. 2.0. I have never heard that. Hey, the lead attorney has joined us. Hello, lead. How are you? You're burning some oil tonight. How about that? But thinking, man, I think that men would maybe say it different, but I do think the extremes are for talking points because
Hmm.
women are not listening. But real life kind of it looks different. and I'm about real life because I have to live this life. And if someone can help me in real life, say to me, I messed up, I had a bad thought, or even if my husband can realistically come to me and say that that's a real thing. These are real things that people actually go through. So it's a plus for me to hear somebody say, um, my husband doesn't pay the bills very well. He's got the money, but he's not very organized. That was a real thing that happened.
Mhm.
And, for a woman to say, "Okay, I got your back," that's perfect for me. I wanna share that. She had his back instead of throwing her hand on her hip, being like, moving her head from side to side. You the man, you supposed to do it, that's not getting anything done,
Yeah,
but you have
I think the balance is necessary though. I think those extreme talking points, I think that that's off-putting. I think most people are in the middle. So when you
to.
talk to the extremes, you're not maybe it does, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't think that I think a lot of people won't come to the table because things are so extreme.
Oh, you
You
saying
know
they
what I
won't
mean?
yeah, they won't talk about it. They won't tell the truth about it.
Right. And
I
then
would think men probably wouldn't because they would be, it would kind of maybe a form of rejection, or you might be called a simp or
mhm.
whatever people say, the names that they use now. That could be yeah, you're right. That
On
could
both
happen.
sides though, for women too, if you hear, like, oh well, a woman shouldn't do, a man has to do everything. You're completely getting away from the gifts and talents of a whole nother person.
You
You
know
know what
what?
I mean?
For some women that may be the case, but listen, I am so real about who I am. It don't even matter to me. My husband and I have been married for so long. Can't nobody get in between that. It's just what it is. I try to protect him. He tries to protect me. And sometimes I look at things that we hear and messages and comments. It can help me grow. I think I told you that last night. Somebody said something. I was like, wow, that helped me out because I hadn't heard that before or something of that nature. So I'm still growing in this. We still got a lot of time to go. So you're right about that. Some people, if they don't know or are a little insecure in the area, they won't talk about it. They won't.